Сайн байцгаана уу хүн үзэгчдээ. Өнөөдөр манай де факто нэвтрүүлгийн зочноор Энэтхэг улсаас Монгол Улсад суугаа элчин сайдын яамны хоёрдугаар нарийн бичгийн дарга ноён Рави Шанкер оролцож байна.
Рави Шанкер Энэтхэг улсаас Монгол Улсад суугаа элчин сайдын яамны хоёрдугаар нарийн бичгийн дарга. Ноён Рави Шанкер нь Монгол Улсад суугаа элчин сайдын яамд ажиллахаас өмнө Энэтхэг улсын гадаад хэргийн яамд ЭСЯ-ны олон талт хэлтэст ажиллаж байсан. Тэрээр өмнө нь Алжир, Швейцар, Афганистан, Шри-Ланк болон Саудын Араб дахь Энэтхэгийн элчин сайдын яамд ажиллаж байсан ариун туршлагатай юм. Улаанбаатар хотод гэр бүлийн хамт амьдарч байна.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
How do you find so far your job here in Mongolia?
It's very interesting, and I have been enjoying my stay here since my arrival in March 2015. Since then, there have been a lot of things happening on India-Mongolia relations, and what we are finding is that the relations are becoming more and more intense.
And in fact, there were very interesting visits of India, quite large group, last year in fall. Please tell us about this, what was exactly about, because unlike with many other countries, India is the country where we have quite deep cultural relations. Please tell us.
Absolutely, you are right. Our relations go back to historical antiquity, which are rooted into Buddhism, cultural, and India and Mongolia are spiritual neighbors also. The intensification of our bilateral relations started happening with the historical visit of my Prime Minister in May 2015, which was a turning point in the current political engagement. As you mentioned, in 2016, the Speaker of Lok Sabha visited in April, and thereafter Vice President of India also visited Mongolia in July 2016 to take part in ASEM summit. In such a short period of time, having three top leaders coming to Mongolia signifies our interest to upgrade and to continue the momentum which has been generated by my Prime Minister's visit.
I visited in November upon your invitation of India, this higher education forum in India, and also went to several places, including the foreign journalists club, where they were surprised, many journalists, how come that Mongolia, such a small country, then all Indians, leaders visited for a short time, all of them. So they were particularly appreciating the relations between Mongolia and India. Why you think it goes so deep, so goes back?
Let me summarize it. As I mentioned, that our relations are cultural, historical, people to people. India became one of the first country outside the former Soviet bloc to recognize Mongolia. Our diplomatic relations were established in 1955. The resident mission of India started functioning in Ulaanbaatar since 1971. That shows from the both sides we were interested. And by the way, the Mongolian embassy started functioning in India in 1956. So it is a mutual desire to have closer relations. And the fact is that now Mongolia is also a democratic country, and India being one of the largest democratic country in the world, we have special affinity with Mongolians.
Affinity. Let's go back to the Buddhism a bit, maybe, which can bring us a little bit to earlier pages of our history. And the Buddhism, different directions, and one of them came through Tibet to Mongolia. In that relations, do you see any kind of further development of religion, as many Mongolian monks are there, etc.?
I would say Buddhism teaches love, kindness. So, as Buddha taught in India, the Buddhism traveled to different parts of the world from India and to Mongolia through Tibet, which has lot of similarity here. And even today, lot of monks from Mongolia travel to India for their studies, and at any given point of time, hundreds of Mongolian monks continue to study in India. So, that sort of relationship continues. I would also like to highlight here that one of my ambassador here was a Buddhist monk, Mr. Bakula Rinpoche, who stayed here for about 10 years and also established one of the monastery, which is quite popular in Ulaanbaatar. So, it is not that we have only our cultural relations which were in the past, it continues in the present also.
Yeah, you are one of the few countries that was represented by the religious leader, which could play which played an important role, I think, on, as you said, peace and love, which is very important inside of the country, between the countries. Let's go back to Prime Minister Modi's visit and economic cooperation between two countries. How do you find it today, and where we can improve?
A very interesting question. Thank you very much for raising it. Both the countries are enjoying very good relations politically, culturally, and people to people contact also, but somehow our economic relations have not progressed to where we have lot of potential. I would like to say that in fact, Mongolia is losing a lot by not having economic relationship with one of the fastest developing economy in the world now. By the way, whatever commodities Mongolia is exporting, generally speaking, India is importing almost all types of commodities that Mongolia exports. But unfortunately, the Mongolian business has not looked at Indian economy or Indian imports, and I would request them that they should look that closely, and they will find that there is a ready market for Mongolia. Here I would also like to say that because Mongolia India enjoys good relations, so both countries have given to each other most favored nation status. So, in terms of taxation, in terms of customs duty, there will be equal treatment. So it is important for the Mongolian business community to have a look and try to find out that they should explore the Indian market to export their products. By not exporting, it is not that India is losing, but it is our Mongolian friends who are losing.
Even more because this missed opportunity. So, what can we do to convince Mongolian business to look at India as this market, as it is growing and very fast, dynamically grow, and a lot of things they can import from, anything if we can import from here, export from here. What do you think on two sides we can do to increase that awareness?
I would like to highlight some of the facts first, so that your viewers can understand how big the Indian economic market is for the Mongolian products. Mongolia is an exporter of coal, and in 2015 India imported coal of about $14 billion US. In 2016, the latest data which I could check before coming here, we have already imported coal of about $10 billion US. I would also like to highlight that India is also the 4th largest reserve holder of coal, but our consumption of coal is going up because we require a lot of energy and we keep on importing.
4th largest?
4th largest reserve of coal.
Reserve of coal.
In India.
Coking coal, or it is electric power?
It's a mixed coal, which can be used for thermal power generation. But unfortunately, Mongolia has not been exporting coal to India. Another statistics I would like to share is the copper. Copper and copper related products, India imported about more than $3 billion in 2015, and in 2016 almost it is touching $3 billion. And Mongolia is exporting copper related things.
Is it because it's easier to sell to China closer, or price wise have you been comparing it? Because say somehow we solve the problem with pure copper is one issue, probably the concentration is another issue. Can Mongolian product be competitive in India?
I would say business has to be on economic basis. What we are offering to our Mongolian friends is that India is willing to buy the product at the international market price. We are not saying on a specific price. We are saying that India is looking to help our Mongolian friends if they want to export at the international market price.
So they can buy, say, at the FOB, say, Tianjin, our copper?
Yes, if it is made available at Tianjin, for example, the Indian companies would be interested. And once the Mongolian business people want to export, then we can do the matchmaking from our Indian embassy's point of view. We can spread the news, we can share their information, and we can try to invite more Indian companies to look at the Mongolian market if they are interested. Here I would like to say that in 2015 I did spread the news about the global tender of the coal. We shared it with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we shared it with the Chambers of Commerce, we shared it with the banks, leading banks here. But unfortunately, we found that none of the Mongolian company even tried to participate in it. So it was a little surprising for us that we're at one point of time Mongolia is looking for new markets, and it's not even trying to compete in the global tender.
By the way, concerning Mongolian mining logistics, can Mongolian mining companies go and participate in tender, find exploration licenses or production licenses, and can they produce with their own, say, can bring people or drilling, etc.? If there is any sort of activities out there?
In today's world, everything is possible if there is an interest. Why I say if there is an interest? Because I find that the Indian companies are moving to the Australian market to explore and mine. So similarly, if there are good business opportunities and if it is taken further, there is every possibility of cooperation between India and Mongolia in this particular sector. Similarly, I would like to share another product of Mongolia which is being exported is the gold. Let me give you the figure of India's import of gold. In 2015, India imported more than $33 billion of gold. And in 2016, the figures that I have is already crossed $17 billion US. But again I find that though Mongolia is exporting gold, but it is not doing any business with India. Maybe the same gold is being sold to one country and is finding back in India.
In India, you are one of the largest customer consuming of gold.
You are right.
Right? Almost half of the gold that is not for money reserve goes to India as a product.
Because there is a lot of consumption in India, people tend to buy it, and most of it goes into the jewelry.
Yes.
So people.
So let's talk about this jewelry. Why India in your culture, gold is so important. I traveled around India many years ago. I was at one of the wedding, really big gold is being presented. So how come, why?
Gold is a precious metal, and before the modern currency came into picture. Gold was one of the way of circulating transactions. So probably, historically people became very attached to gold, and over a period of time the fashion, the people try to have the gold jewelry. It's very difficult for me to say why Indians are attached to gold, but it's going on for ages.
Are you married?
Yes.
Have you, by your tradition, Indian wife, right? Have you to give gold required as a present or as a gift, or?
I would put it this way, it is customary, it is not required by law, it is not necessary that somebody has to present, but as a custom it does happen.
And you
that
did?
It's not like I did. I would say it is a customary where the families have, together when they meet, they exchange certain gifts, and the gift includes that gold also.
Yeah. It's India, and after you, I think Saudi Arabia, a country where you just, your eyes will be just so much lightened, with this shining gold in shops. All these walls are full of the jewelry is amazing. Let's go back to Prime Minister Modi's assistance. One of the way of India trying to make business with Mongolia. Prime Minister Modi, when visited, promised $1 billion credit line to Mongolia for supporting export from India, right? So what's happening with the money now?
Indians are ready. We were ready since my Prime Minister declared the assistance. And this is not for the first time India has come forward to help our Mongolian friends. In 2009, when President of Mongolia, Mr. Elbegdoj, visited India, there was an issue of stabilization of the Mongolian economy. At that time also, $25 million was extended by India. Coming back to this $1 billion credit line offered by Indian government, it is one of the most beneficial terms to our Mongolian friends, and we have been requesting the Mongolian government to utilize it at the earliest for the benefit of our Mongolian friends. Initially there were a movement saying that the credit line may be utilized for the railways. Now the Mongolian government has indicated that they want to utilize it for oil sector. The fact is that we are ready. We just want that this credit line should be utilized at the earliest. This also shows that we have no preference for which sector it needs to be utilized. It has to be decided by Mongolian government for the benefit of Mongolian people.
That's why they have recently decided to have this money for oil refinery, right? That's the Mongolian government decisions. Am I right?
As I mentioned, initially they indicated for
the
railways.
I know, and
so Indian government agreed.
So
now they
have officially submitted that request to India.
Yes.
Yes. So it is. So you are considering it, or what's happening now?
As I am saying that the Indian government has always taken a stand that it is for government of Mongolia to decide for which sector
they have
it
decided.
would like.
They have submitted now.
So, as you know that the credit line has certain procedures which are under the process of being completed, and we are ready. It is for our Mongolian friends to expedite. We are just waiting that they should expedite, and we are ready. I would say that the check is ready. They just have to take it.
Yeah, but on our side, the government had decided. I don't know at which level who will do this. I'm always confused with Mongolian government decisions to make a, say, refinery. Who is going to make a refinery, which company, and how, what is the state participation? It's many things unclear on our side, I know. And also, during my short stay, a few days in India, I have read in newspaper that this $1 billion is to support Indian export, which in this particular circumstances may include Indian equipment or professionals. How do you see that? Suppose everything from this side is ready, okay? We want to make a refinery here, help us. So will it be only just that finance the investment budget, or it will be professional, or how do you see that?
As you know that the credit line is to be operated through Exim Bank of India. The guidelines have been shared with the Mongolian government. They are aware of the details, and as you know, any bigger project would require technological support also, and in which India is ready to support Mongolia to provide its technological support, and if required any other support which they want.
So basically what you are saying is, on our side it is not completely clear everything. That's why things are delayed. Czech is waiting for that clearness.
I would say that initially there was a request for the railways, now there is a request in the oil sector, and we are working on it, and we hope that
it will not be changed.
This should start as early as possible, and we are very hopeful that it should start in 2017.
Let's talk for another potential case where you have made a success story about IT development, and I saw also it's because your language, official language of the India is Hindu and English, and because this English people get you from a kid, they learn language and they are more familiar with this IT process and I think. So you have a huge export of IT products. Please tell us about that and what we can do with Mongolia in this regard.
We have been supporting Mongolia in capacity building. Government of India gives lots of scholarships. Mongolia gets one of the highest scholarship from Government of India. The scholarships have been raised to 200 now for the short term courses, which also includes English language learning as well as IT related subjects. Apart from that, India also offers about 40 to 50 scholarships in the higher education, which are at graduation, post graduation and doctorate level. Apart from that, the Indian government is also offering scholarships to learn Hindi language. There is a class which is being run by Indian Embassy here to impart Hindi language free of cost. This is part of the capacity building assistance which Government of India is providing. It costs a lot of money to Government of India. Specifically for the IT sector, there is one more proposal, or rather a project which is coming up, is Atal Bihari Vajpayee Center of IT Center in Ulaanbaatar. Government of India is providing a credit line of $20 million to it, and it is at an advanced stage. A consultant has been appointed, the tender has to be issued. Ministry of Education, Culture, Science and Sports is working on it. I would request that they should expedite it, and we are ready again. The Indian consultant is based in Ulaanbaatar now. He is constantly in touch with the ministry, and we would like to have expeditious proposals by the Ministry of Education, Culture, Science and Sports, so that the actual work should start.
I was in India, met several universities. People had a chance to speak, give a lecture at the Jawaharlal University about current Mongolia. And I was surprised and was very astonished with good quality of education in a lot, very competitive universities, English speaking. They take both professional, the language, they get him very well, and then the profession. And so how to get to increase the awareness of Mongolian students about this 200 scholarships a year, and up to 50 scholarships, postgraduate schools in any universities of India. What do you do in this regard?
We take the help of Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Education, Culture, Science and Sports, and we also circulate this information to all major universities in Mongolia. We also put it on our Facebook page, which is having a following of about 9,000 in Mongolia. We also take out advertisements in the local newspapers. So we try our level best to reach out to more Mongolian students, and I can take benefit from your show also, that I would like to reach out to the prospective students that they should look at Indian education, and it is 100% scholarship by government of
which
India.
covers the flights, staying there costs and tuition fee, right?
I would say that 200 scholarships cover everything, including the flight, and the 40 to 50 scholarships that covers the whole of the tuition fees, but the airfare has to be borne by the students.
Postgraduate students.
Yes, and I would also like to highlight here that why I say that the Indian education is one of the best. Even if you go to NASA in USA, 50% of scientists are Indian.
By the way, with the current Trump administration, mood changes. Do you see any kind of issues there of Indians working in not all the Silicon Valley, in NASA? Have you seen any, do you watch it or observe any difficulties?
I would say that it is for them to decide if their losses could be our gain. Then in that case, if people have to come back to India.
Exactly, that's that. So your professionals are coming back and developing India back. Remember, Taiwan was 20 or 30 years ago special concept. They were bringing back all U.S. graduates. At that time, all people who were working in the U.S. At that time, Taiwan was a #1 country per 100,000 people, students studying in the U.S. So U.S. education, of course, is an important factor of development in any countries. Let's talk about a little bit about you as a diplomat. Was it difficult for you to be a diplomat, and why you have decided to be a diplomat?
It's when I joined the service, I was not much aware of exactly what entails as a diplomat. However, since my joining my service, I have been enjoying. It has given me opportunity to travel to different countries, work in different environments, and I have benefited a lot.
You have been working in Algeria, Switzerland, Afghanistan, Sri Lanka, and Saudi Arabia, right?
Yes, these were the assignments where I did an attachment to my embassies, which were about 2 to 3 years. Apart from that, I have traveled to some other countries also on my official work, but these are the places where I worked for longer duration.
See, I'm very interested to just learn more. Who can be a diplomat? Through what procedure you go through? And once you are a diplomat, what is the system of upgrading the professionalism of the diplomat?
There is a competitive examination that is conducted at all India level. The people who compete in those examinations and secure quite high rank, then they can be selected into foreign service. And within the foreign service, there is always an upgradation of our skills, which we learn on the job. Sometimes there are short courses, but most of the time it is on the job we learn, and we have the benefit of learning from our seniors. We always see what they are doing.
And this is a unique culture. I always observe the respect of seniority in India, the countries which has long traditions. Final questions: do you as a citizen feel that the selection examinations and career promotions are fair? There is not particular consideration of big bosses or relations. Do you feel as a citizen? As
Absolutely. If you see, there is no doubt about it that the competitive examinations are absolutely fair, which is conducted by an independent body, which has its own constitutional authority given by our constitution, and the selection process is throughout India without any fair favor. And once one has been selected to the institution, then it depends on the competency of the person, and slowly the person grows into the system.
That creates stronger political and economic institutions, which in its own turn helps the economy moving.
Yes, because our bureaucracy does not depend on the political changes. The governments may change through democratic process, but bureaucracy remains there to support.
That's what Mongolia today is missing the most, and hope our conversation will help for people to think about that. Ravi, thank you very much for coming to this show and sharing us with your current thoughts about current affairs between two countries, and good luck in Mongolia.
Thank you very much, and I take this opportunity to convey the greetings from India to the viewers. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Хүндэтгэгчдээ өнөөдөр манай дефакто нэвтрүүлгийн зочноор Энэтхэг улсаас Монгол улсад суугаа элчин сайдын яамны нарийн хоёрдугаар нарийн бичгийн дарга Рави Шанкер оролцлоо. Их баярлалаа.